Hello students, welcome again on behalf of Sri Shivsha College of Commerce Management and Computer Education, and it is managed by Jain Citizens Education Society. Welcome to my another session. In the last sessions we had studied the short-term production. I hope you all are now aware about the short-term production. Today we are going to start the long-term production. The meaning that I had already stated that what is long-term production. Long-term, as the name itself suggests, it is for a longer period of time, and we all know that when anything is for the longer period of time, it cannot be stable. There are lot many changes in the long term because there are many factors, internal and external factors that are affecting the long-term planning. So, long term production, we cannot keep everything constant. So, let us study. In long term production, there is no difference of variable and constant factors. In the long term, all factors are considered variable. There is no variable. So, all the factors are considered variable. In long term, there are no variable and constant factors because in long term, the firm can change the volume or scale of its plant. Minor and major, both changes can be done in long term. So, there is nothing like there is nothing like a variable or constant factors. Thus, in the long term, it is natural that all factors can be called variables. So there is nothing like constant factors. All the factors are variable factors. To meet the changes in demand, it can expand the scale of the plant to increase the supply or to make the plant small to meet the reduced demand. So they can also increase it or they can decrease it. So it depends. They can increase the scale of the plant, as well as when the demand is less they can reduce the scale of the plant. As all factors are variable in the long run, and if all factors are increased, how the quantity of production is changed can be explained in the following manner. Now, advantage of the law of economies of scale. What advantage that we can get from the law of economies of scale? In long term, when the proportion of all factors of production is increased, the relationship between the proportion of increase in factors of production and the proportion of production can be understood with the help of law of economies of scale. So the relationship between proportion of increase in factors of production and the proportion of production can be understood. So here it is explaining the relationship between these two. A firm increases the quantity of all factors to produce the required supply to meet long-term increase in the demand. Thus, all the factors becomes variable, no factor remain constant. This we had studied that this is the reason while all the factors are variable, there are no factor which is constant. As all factors are variable, production may increase, become constant, or decrease in these circumstances. So, all the factors are variable, production may increase or become constant or decrease in any of the circumstances. When the scale of the firm becomes larger than before, production increases in the beginning. Now, the scale of the firm becomes larger, then production increases in the beginning, then it becomes stable, and in the end is it decreases. Thus, with the law of economies of scale, the increasing, stable, and decreasing returns are connected, as it was in law of diminishing returns, right? Here it is that the scale of the firm becomes larger than before. Scale છે that is increasing than before. It can be stated that production is increasing in the beginning, then it is becoming stable, and at the end it starts decreasing. Now, let us study the assumptions of law of economies of scale. So the assumptions are: in production, all inputs or factors are variable. This we had studied. However, the entrepreneuring ability that plans and manages the business is stable. The entrepreneuring ability is stable. Correct? That in production, all inputs or factors are variable. However, the entrepreneuring ability that plans and manage. Entrepreneuring abilities means what? What entrepreneur do? Entrepreneur is of top level management, and they normally explains. Correct? They make the strategies, they make the planning. So this thing is stable. Rest of all other thing is variable. Second is, there are no technological changes. Another assumption is there are no technological changes. Third is, perfect competition is in existence. Perfect competition. There are a lot many competitors in our field. So this is the assumption that there is perfect competition in the existence. Production units can be measured. Production units are measurable. And fifth one, the factor combination does not change. Factor combination does not change. So these are the assumptions, and we need to assume these factors, then and then only we can tell that we are getting the advantage of law of economies of scale. The presentation of the law. When when inputs are increased in certain proportion, the scale of the firm becomes big. It affects the proportion in the following manner, which can be divided into three phases. When inputs are increased in certain proportion, the scale of the firm becomes big. Up to certain proportion, the scale of the firm becomes big, and it affects the productions in the following manner, which can be divided into three phases. The phase of increasing returns. So there are three phases. Let us understand the first one. The phase of increasing returns. When there is certain increase in inputs, the proportion of production increases more than the quantity of increased inputs. It is called the condition of increasing returns. When there is certain increase in inputs, up to certain increase in inputs, the proportion of production increases more than the quantity of increased inputs. So input we had increased, but the production that we had achieved is greater than that proportion of increased input. That condition is called increasing returns. Second phase, the phase of constant returns. When certain quantity of input is increased, the increase in production is proportionate to the quantity of increased in inputs. This is called the condition of constant returns. So we had increased the quantity of inputs, but the increase in production is proportionate to quantity of increased in input, means both are having proportionate relationship, means it is constant. So this is called the condition of constant returns. The phase of diminishing returns. When certain quantity of inputs is increased, the increase in production is less in comparison to the quantity of increase in input. This is called the condition of diminishing returns. The increased input proportion is less than the production, correct, in comparison to quantity of increase in inputs. Then this is called the condition of diminishing returns. So these are the three phases, that is phase of increasing returns, the phase of constant returns, and the phase of diminishing returns. Now you are seeing the diagram that is of long-term production. On the y-axis there are returns, and on the x-axis that is the scale of the firm. When a plant or production unit of a firm grows in scale, the advantages of economies of scale are not equal. In the beginning, there are more advantages, then they become constant, and after certain limit, they begin to decrease. This means that the advantages of economies of scale pass through phases of increasing, constant, and diminishing returns. As stated earlier, this we had studied that it goes through three phases, that is of increasing, becoming constant, and then decreasing. In the figure given above, on OX, the scale of the firm has been shown, and on OY, the proportion of marginal returns has been indicated. CP curve is a curve of marginal returns. CP curve. CP curve is of marginal returns. As the volume of the firm grows, the return continue to increase. As the volume of the firm grows, the returns continue to increase, say up to 4 units. It can be seen by the Cn curve. The curve rising from C to N suggests that the returns are increasing. You can see that it is going upward. Then from N to M it remains parallel to the baseline. Then we can see it that the region between N to M, it is constant. It shows that the returns are unchanged. Then from M to P, the curve of marginal returns begins to move down, which shows that the returns are diminishing. So from C to N it was increasing, then from N to M it was constant, and now from M to P it starts on decreasing. Now, advantages of economies of scale. So there are two types of advantages of economies of scale, that is internal economies and external economies. So internal economies means when the scale of a firm grows big, it gets the advantages of economy in production cost. These advantages are known as internal economies. These advantages are achieved by the firm that expand. They are individual advantages of the firm. So, the firm grows big, it gets advantages in production cost, and these advantages are known as internal economies, that is advantage of expansion of the firm. Correct? Second one is external economies, that when the scale of firm increase or expand in a certain place, now firms also developed and all the firms of the area are benefited, means all over there is expansion of industries. It is now not only related to one firm, but it is related to all the firms. They are called external economies. Such advantage can be availed due to the development of industries. That is the reason why they are called advantages of development of industries. Thus, when firm grows in scale and production on large scale takes place, both internal and external economies come into existence. As a result, the law of increasing returns takes place in the process of production. How this happens and what factors determines the increasing returns can be explained in the following manner. Advantages of internal economies, that is advantages of development or expansion of a firm. Internal is only related to a firm and external is related to all the firms, that is industries. So there are five types of advantages. When the production unit or a firm grows in scale, the firm begins to achieve certain individual advantages. They are called internal economies. Robinson, in his book Structure of Competitive Industry, has shown five advantages of development of firm. So these are the advantages, that is mechanical or technical advantages, managerial advantages, the advantages regarding purchase and sale, the advantage of capacity of taking risk, and last one, financial and monetary advantages. So these all are the advantages, and in all this we are also having the sub points of the advantages, so that we are going to study in the next session. Today we had studied this much, and we are going to continue the advantages in the next session. So every advantages are having the sub points. So thank you students for today's session. I hope you are going through my sessions. Thank you.